So if we were to utilize D sharp right here, and we were to pitch bend it all the way up right here, we're going to end up hitting F, which is also going to fall on the scale, so it'll work. And it's 2 semitones apart. So let me show you. So today we're going to be focusing on making a melodic pain beat, something that you will hear Lil Durk or Rod Wave on. Let's get into it. So you're going to want your BPM a little faster for this. I'm at 167. I'm going to be creating this in D sharp minor because I'm pretty comfortable in that scale and we can transpose it later. And we're just going to start off with the piano. Inside of Analog Labs, I have Piano 2 from my Gloom Analog Lab preset bank loaded up. Also went ahead and added a little bit of EQ just to cut out some of the lows to save myself time later from doing that. And I also added Valhalla Vintage Reverb. So I usually play a lot of these melodies out on the MIDI, but you guys have been asking for me to kind of just create it in the piano roll so you can kind of follow along a little bit better. So today we're going to do that, but I'm going to kind of utilize the same techniques that I would use while creating it on the MIDI keyboard. So with that said, let's go ahead and start building out a chord progression. Let's start on the 1 of the scale, which is going to be D sharp. Skip every other note in the scale, place 1 here, skip right here, place. Now we have a triad. Like I said, I'm going to take the 3rd of the chord. So we have the root, 3rd, and the 5th, right? And I'm going to take the 3rd right here and control up arrow. I'm going to bring it up. Well, I was supposed to bring it up 1 octave. So we're going to go up 1 octave. Then let's take this A sharp and let's bring it in. Let me put the metronome on and we'll start to get that rhythm going. And we're going to mess with the velocity a little bit. I'm going to Alt R to randomize. Then I'm also going to bring it down just a tiny bit. I'm going to copy this over by hitting Control B. And then we'll bring this A actually in right here to kind of switch it up a little bit. So this will be the first chord. This is like the basic form of it. We're obviously going to add more lower notes and more melody to it, but this is like the basic structure of it that we're going to go with. And now we just need to build out a few more chords over here. Let's take this root note right here and we're going to go down the scale. Probably go to B. Let's build out a 7th chord with this. So let's skip every other note like this. That's our 3rd, skip right here. That's the 5th, skip right here. There's the 7th, root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. So this is actually a 7th chord. And then again, let's go ahead and take the 3rd. Let's bring it up an octave like this. And then again, let's take that A sharp and bring it in and see what this sounds like. We could probably repeat that chord and then add in a different chord right here to switch it up a little bit. That'll probably sound good. So let's actually just take this same chord. Let's bring it over here. Let's get the cut tool by pressing C. And let's go ahead and cut right here. And then we can move these notes around. Probably just going to move this D sharp up to F. And we'll move this F sharp down to F right here. And then we could take this B right here and go back up the scale. So we can go ahead and put this to C. And then we'll also just go ahead and bring in this A sharp. So this repetitive A sharp being kind of off the time with the rest of the notes just gives a little bit of rhythm, right? So now I'm going to take all these root notes. I'm just holding Control and Shift. Select all these and then Shift. And then we could hit Control down arrow. And let's do it one more time. Let's go over here, Control down arrow, and let's bring these just a little bit lower. All right, so now we got like the main chord progression done, right? Now we need to add in some melody to this and kind of some passing notes and whatnot. So I'm gonna go work on that real quick, try to come up with something cool, and I'll explain it as I go. That's already giving us so much more bounce. Take this note right here and continue that same thing over here. Just like little passing notes everywhere. So let's go ahead and hit like C sharp here. And then we have this F sharp right here. So we'll do the same thing we did in the last tutorial. We'll just bring this up 1 octave here. All right, so let me zoom out real quick. So this is the whole chord progression here. I might add in a couple more notes, but as you can see, it's pretty advanced now. We started off pretty basic. Now we have a pretty advanced chord progression. We can get into like the guitar and vocal next. So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna add any more notes and we'll go from there. So I layered the main chord progression we have with pad 3.1, and then I put some EQ on it to really just focus on the mid-range, and then a pretty big reverb. The last two things I'm going to add is vocals and guitar, and I definitely want to add some pitch bends to this. So we're going to be utilizing electric sunburst. So now if I go ahead and do a pitch bend on the MIDI, it sounds like this. And I want those notes to bend even more. So I'm going to go over here to range, and I'm going to bring this up to 12. And now when we pitch bend, it's going to actually bring it up by 2 semitones. You hear it's that same note, right? So we know we're moving up by 2 semitones. So if you need like more guitar tutorials and stuff to like get this down, shout out to AP We on YouTube. Has a whole bunch of gems for getting these guitars right. So with that said, let's go over here to a sound preset. And the one I've been using for a while is actually 37, more gain right here, which is going to be more of that sound we're going for. Now with some reverb and some H delay with an 8th note ping pong, it sounds like this. So the thing you got to pay attention to when it's set up like this, remember I said when we pitch bend all the way up, it goes up by 2 semitones, right? So there's actually going to be only a few notes that you're going to be able to pitch bend. And let me show you what I mean. So if we were to utilize D sharp right here, and we were to pitch bend it all the way up right here, we're going to end up hitting F, which is also going to fall on the scale, so it'll work. And it's 2 semitones apart. So let me show you. And that note pitch bend all the way up brings us to F. So it works. But if I were to start on F and bring that pitch wheel all the way up and we jump up 2 semitones, we're going to end up right here, which is going to be outside of the scale. So while you're playing, you're obviously going to hear it, but just to kind of explain it to you, this pitch bend right now is set to go up 2 semitones. So I need to make sure when I'm choosing notes that I'm going to pitch bend, if I do utilize that pitch bend and go all the way up those 2 semitones, that note needs to be in the scale. So with that said, I'm going to try to figure out something cool to do on the guitar. So from here, I'm going to just go into arcade and get a vocal for this. And then, like I said, I'll probably go ahead and mess with this a little bit more later, but I could really mess around with this guitar forever. So I don't want to spend too much time. So for the vocal, I found this preset right here inside of distant voices. Then I leveled everything out and now we have this. So now we can get started on the drums. If you're interested in trying out Arcade, I do have an affiliate link in the description, which will give you a 30-day free trial. So make sure to check that out. All right, so all these drums are from my resupply drum kit. I'm gonna go ahead and just get started on the hi-hat and then make the rest of the drums around that. Let's go ahead and 2-step this hi-hat right here. Appreciate you watching. If you do want to cook up with this loop, make sure to join my Discord. I'll probably put this one in there as well. If you're interested in any of my kits used in today's video, there'll be a link to that in the description. Let's hear the full beat.